So as we arrive here, I'm just going to invite us all to take a few collective breaths together, just kind of ground into the body and into the present moment. If you're not on mute, I'm going to mute you. Thank you. And yeah, so let's just close the eyes now, bringing the attention inward. Take a deep breath in through the nose or the mouth, and exhale to open mouth and sigh it out. Again, big deep breath in, filling up the belly, the chest, upper lungs. And exhaling, releasing. Emptying yourself out completely, drawing the belly button into the spine. One more time like this, inhaling, big breath, biggest breath of the day. And release. Letting all the air out completely, every last drop, arriving into this present moment. And keeping the eyes closed now, I'm just going to guide you straight into an opening meditation, grounding meditation, and opening prayer. This is the way that I start all of my calls and my work. So we're just going to flow right into it. So just keeping your awareness of your breath, bringing your attention now to the base of your spine. I invite you to visualize grounding cords or your roots, your energetic roots now descending down and out of your root chakra or the base of your spine into the earth. Visualizing these roots, this root system piercing through the concrete into the soil, wherever you are in the world, descending into the earth, intertwining and moving past the other root system of other trees, plants, the mycelium network, down past the stone kingdom, the crystal kingdom, the quartz, even past the water that's stored underneath the earth until your roots reach the magnetic core of the earth, the heart of the earth, the heart of Shakti Ma, Gaia, Sophia, Tonansi, Mother Earth energy, Pachamama, Mama. And from the earth, we're on the next inhale, you're going to take in 3 earth energy or Shakti energy breaths, inhaling a red luminous light energy, the color of blood from the earth, right? And so on the next inhale, drawing in this red luminous light energy from the core of the earth into your physical body and energetic body, taking in this red luminous light energy. It nourishes, cleanses, heals your body. And on the exhale, you're going to release anything that does not serve back to the earth to be composted and transmuted. Again, visualizing those roots grounded to the core of the earth, eyes closed. You're going to inhale red luminous light energy from the core of the earth, Shakti Ma energy, Mother Earth energy from the earth. This red luminous light energy represents the color of blood, of nourishment. And on the exhale, releasing what no longer serves. Similar to that system that a mother has with the child through the umbilical cord, these root systems bring nourishment into the body and takes away toxins. Do this one more time, inhaling red luminous light energy from the core of the earth into the physical body, energetic body. And this time, we're just going to keep this energy with you and exhaling the rest. Beautiful. Keeping the eyes closed, you're going to visualize now from your heart center, tree branches growing up and out of your heart, out of your shoulders, crown of the head, with one central trunk or one central pillar of light plugging into the heart of the universe, the heart of Father God, Great Spirit, Source, the galactic center, Shiva, the divine masculine, that which goes by 1,000 names and no name at all. Finding your connection to Source, we're going to plug into the heart of the universe through that column or central trunk. And on the inhale, I invite you to receive a downpour of royal blue, golden, and white light, pouring down now through that central core, central channel, down your branches, into your physical body. allowing this energy to bring healing, information from your higher self, from source, God, from your guides into your body, allowing that to integrate with your physical body, energetic body, exhaling, releasing what doesn't serve back to the earth, but back to source where it came from. Again, on the inhale, if you're not haven't already, just receiving this downpour of luminous royal blue, golden, and white light energy, cosmic loving light energy from heart of the universe. Allowing yourself to be bathed by this, to receive this energy, this upgrade, this healing. And so it is. One last time, drawing down this energy, allowing it to fall over you. You receive it, you open yourself to receive it, allowing it to integrate into your energy body, physical body, and even allowing this energy to come down and through your roots, allowing yourself to become that conduit between heaven and earth energies, Shakti, Shiva energies. Beautiful. And lastly, I'm going to have you bring your attention now to your heart. And in your heart, these heaven and earth energies, masculine, feminine, great cosmic and earth energies come into union and balance, are already in union and in balance, always within your heart and soul. And so just visualizing these two rays of energy coming together to fuse and form the violet ray, the violet flame at your heart. And now with every breath, just letting this flame grow bigger, brighter, until it illuminates all of your chest and cavity, chest cavity, your torso. This light grows bigger and brighter, filling up and illuminating your head, your hips, shoulders, arms, feet. Letting this light extend even a little outside of your physical body to fill up all of your auric body. Beautiful. And this energy is your source energy, your healing potential and powers. And so any intentions that you have, any areas in your life or in your body that need extra healing, you can direct this energy to those places, those people, those things, those intentions. And we're going to seal this energy with a silver shield or silver coat or lining. Beyond that, there's going to be another shield of golden light. And beyond that, a rainbow filter of light. The silver reflects anything that is not of the highest and greatest good back to where it came from. The golden light offers healing energy to this energy. And the rainbow light is a harmonizing filter that also helps harmonize and transmute energy so that it cannot come toward you if you do not wish so. So keeping the eyes closed now, staying with your breath, staying with this prayer. Now that we've done this grounding meditation, I'm going to open up the space by calling in the sacred directions. And so I'm going to be calling in the directions and the medicine wheel that I work with personally. So some of it you might know already, some of it might be new. So I just invite you to take what you like, leave what you don't. This is me sharing my practice. And so if it resonates, great. If it doesn't, no big deal. You can just let it go and use this as a tool for education. So if you have your cup of cacao, you can also bring that to your heart or your hands. And eyes closed or open, whatever feels good for you in this moment. We're going to start today with the door of the East. We call upon the door of the East, opening the door of the East to receive the blessings of the spirit of the fire. Spirit of the fire, come be with us. Welcoming in the spirit of fire, we welcome in the powers of transformation, of illumination, of creation, vitality, honoring the sacred fire within us and all around us, giving thanks to Father, Son, and the divine masculine within and without. Also welcoming in spirit animals of the eagle and the condor and the quetzalcoatl or dragon. representing higher vision, higher perspective, heart and mind working as one to create new life and to ignite our passion and purpose. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Turning toward the south now, we open the door of the south, calling upon the spirit of the water. Spirit of the water, come be with us. Giving thanks to the spirit of the water, we welcome in the attributes of the water element, giving thanks to its ability to cleanse and purify, as well as its ability to nourish and to support us in feeling our feelings, in feeling and understanding our intuition, that which cannot be seen. Understanding, helping us understand our darkness. And by darkness, we mean that which is in the shadows or unseen, unknown to the rational or logical mind. We give thanks also through this door to the spirit of Huitzilopochtli, the left-handed hummingbird, welcoming in the spirit of willpower. And also we give thanks and welcome in the spirit of the serpent, welcoming any healing, transformation, regeneration that can happen within our kundalini, our inner serpents, our inner masculine and feminine energy, welcoming and asking for these energies to come into divine union, balance, and harmony. And so it is. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Turning toward the west now, we open the door of the west, calling upon the spirit of the earth element. Spirit of the earth, come be with us. Giving thanks to the spirit of the earth, we start by giving thanks to our physical body, our physical vessel that houses our spirit, giving thanks to these beautiful, healthy bodies. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We want to extend this gratitude to the physical space that we find ourselves wherever we are on the planet, giving thanks to the sacred land that we reside upon, giving thanks to the ancestors and guardians of this land, of these lands, seen and unseen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We give thanks to our mother's lineage, our father's lineage, and all of our well and healed ancestors. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Giving thanks to the spirit of the earth, we give thanks to the spirit of fertility, give thanks to the seeds, we give thanks to the harvest and the bounty and abundance that is present in our life and that we are sowing the seeds for in the near future. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We give thanks to all of the material realm, the plants, the animals, the trees, the mountains, and all the creatures and creepy crawlers in between. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Through this door, we also want to give thanks and welcome in the spirit of the jaguar, Ish, the energy of Mother Earth, the guardian and protector of the planet Earth, and also all of the sacred sites and altars. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Ish, for being with us, and also giving thanks. Yeah, no, I'm just giving thanks to the jaguar, Ish, and from the moon dance or from the red road, we want to give thanks to the guardians. Chipototec, Nanametzli, Mother Moon, giving thanks to the sacred feminine within and without, our inner moon, also our inner intuition and inner knowing, similar to the jaguar that is able to see in the night, see in the darkness with precision and with courage. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And turning toward the north now, we give thanks to the door of the north, opening the door of the north to receive the blessings of the spirit of the air. Spirit of the air, come be with us. Spirit of the air, bring us the breath of stillness, the breath of presence. Bring us the winds of change and the winds of clarity. Bring calm to our mind. Bring knowing. Bring the guidance and messages of our ancestors, our healed and well ancestors, loving ancestors, and guardians, angels, teachers, masters, those that have walked before us. Giving thanks to the spirit of the air for its lightness, the breath, which allows for us to receive and also to give and enter into a sacred and symbiotic relationship with all of the universe. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And it's through the north door that we welcome in the North Star that for me is the North Star, which is crystal or Christ consciousness, Christ crystalline consciousness that invokes unconditional love, compassion, forgiveness, acceptance, understanding, interconnectedness, and humility. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We give thanks to the spirit of the rainbow, golden hummingbird as well, for its lightness, for its magic and ability to connect us to play and to the sweet nectar of life in every moment. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We give thanks to Tezcatlipoca, the obsidian mirror. We give thanks to our ancestors that are unseen and their wisdom and their teachings. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And turning toward the heavens, our attention toward the heavens, Great Spirit, the Great Mystery, Wankatanka, Mayoka, celestial skies. We give thanks to the star nations. We give thanks to our loving guides, ascended masters, teachers, archangels, orishas, gods, goddesses, deities. We give thanks to Great Spirit, Source, God, that which goes by 10,000 names and no name at all. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We welcome you into the space. We give thanks for this moment, for this opportunity to commune in ceremony. And turning toward the earth beneath us, we give thanks to Mother Earth, Tonansi, Pachamama, the spirit of the earth, giving thanks for all that she provides us, the food that we eat, the water that we drink, the air that we breathe, and the sacred medicine that we get into commune with in this moment and every day of our lives. For the herbs, the flowers, the bees. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you, Mama Cacao. Thank you to the rose. Thank you, the copal. Thank you, thank you. And lastly, turning towards seventh direction, we look inward into our own hearts, giving thanks to ourselves for every step that we've taken, for every challenge, every test, and also every triumph. Celebrating all of our hard work that has gotten us to this very moment here and now. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Recognizing the inner child within, recognizing the inner maiden or knight, mother, father, king, queen, medicine man, medicine woman, crone, elder within us. Giving thanks to all parts, recognizing that all parts make us who we are and allow us to show up as our higher self each and every day. And so just taking this last little moment to just acknowledge yourself, fill yourself up with all this gratitude that we just also gave to the universe and the directions. And when you're ready, you can open your eyes. And if you have cacao and water to drink, I invite you to take a sip and come back into the space. So I'm just going to jump right into the material that I have for you guys. If you have any questions, comments, you can raise your hand or drop it in the chat. There's going to be a moment toward the later half of the class where I'm going to open up a little bit more of a discussion. But for now, you want to, just receive and drop in. You're welcome to. And I'll have the chat going. So if anyone wants to share anything on the chat, you can also just drop like what you're grateful for today in text and just to bring that into the space. I'm going to share my screen. So when LaJayla asked me to come on here, it was a very easy yes for me, as I actually do this. This is my job, I guess. This is something I've developed a course called Prosperity Embodied, where I go deep into chakra healing, and I teach people the art of ritual, the art of ceremony, by diving into Reiki energy healing and the chakras and teaching them how to heal the chakras using archetypal psychology, cacao ceremonies, and we do a module for each chakra. So it's pretty extensive. And so I'm going to be pulling out from this course my part of my first and second modules, which are on sacred ritual and sacred space holding. So I just have a little info here about that. It's a mentorship program and facilitator training. It can be done one-to-one or in small groups, depending on the season. And yeah, like I shared here, I teach sacred space holding, facilitation, grounding and boundaries, energy clearing protection, intuitive chakra psychology, shamanic energy healing, voice and sound healing, a form of universal tantra or shamanism and sacred sexuality and quantum theta healing. Who I am, I'm a ritual artist, transformational healer, teacher, and student of life, bridging the world of yoga, tantra, chakra psychology, shamanism, plant medicine, and divine feminine spirituality. I started my journey more so at home than anything else. I'm the daughter or granddaughter of a doctor and a surgeon. So medicine was always part of my family. It was allopathic or Western medicine, but I still was given those codes, right, of wanting to help people, heal people, and that ability to kind of see and diagnose things. I later went on to UCSD, studied psychology, and got my degree in clinical psych in 2011. Shortly after, I left the matrix, as they say, and traveled to India, studied yoga, and got my yoga teacher training certificate in India, which then was where I was introduced to Ayurveda and discovered chakra psychology and energy healing. Shortly after that, I dove deep into my yoga practice and was fascinated by the chakras and how they could bring me a greater understanding of my patterns. Having that psychology background, I got really passionate about the chakras and understanding myself through the lens of these different windows of perception. And that led me to develop this program that is still ongoing now, close to 8-9 years. Shortly after that, in 2015, I got my Reiki level 1 training. The next year, I got my Reiki level 2, and that's around the same time that my spiritual path got catalyzed, and I started working with cacao, kundalini, and advancing my yoga practice to more tantric practices and incorporating ceremony. And that's when I started to see a lot of the links or the bridge between shamanism and tantra and yoga, and which has just continued to lead me down more and more rabbit holes, leading me up, eventually in the last few years, since 2019, I've been going down to Peru and Guatemala, working with cacao, working with the Mayans, also going to Brazil to work with the indigenous there to really honor the source. That's been one of my main codes, just as I did with yoga. I've always found going to the source has been how I learn best and how I get to receive the most codes as a bridge for these medicines. I'm bilingual, born on the border of Mexico and the USA. And so I have fortunate enough to speak fluent Spanish, and that has guided me, through Brazil, through Peru, and Guatemala, where in Mexico as well, where I've gotten to learn from several lineages and continuing to grow and go. And so I currently in practice seeing cacao ceremonies. I teach this work. I teach teachers. I teach healers how to heal and hold these kinds of spaces. I'm a combo practitioner. And I am also doing the work. Just came out of a 3-week dieta and have my own teachers with the Red Road, Moon Dance, as you know, and as well as Yolanda and Lupita. I'm in their dance circle. I'm one of the main leaders of that dance. And yeah, ongoing, this path continues to spiral, and I'm here for it. I'm here to help others as well. So we're going to start now. As I shared, this is part of my program. So I'm just going to go through the notes. I want to start again by thanking Great Spirit, giving gratitude to my teachers, the beings, people, divine reflections, all seen and unseen spirits and allies that have guided me through every breath of the journey. I want to talk about this word sacralization, which is to make sacred and give importance. And I have here a very important point. It's our choice what we make sacred and what we choose to give power in this life. So essentially, as sovereign beings, we choose what we make sacred. And we're all on this path, right, of discovering what is sacred to us, what we want to worship, what we want to place our attention and give power to. Creating sacred space. Anytime we're going to create any sacred space, whether that's a ceremony, a workshop, a healing session, even if it's just for our own personal practice, we always want to start with our intention. And this is your why for what you're doing. This will answer and unlock the path to wherever you're trying to get to, your intention. So, for example, are you creating a safe and sacred space for people to heal and explore themselves through sacred plant medicine, cacao, meditation, breathwork, movement, somatic release? That's one example. Another example of an intention is to create a fun workshop that invokes personal transformation while also cultivating community. All valid. So starting with your intention, starting with your why is essential for your personal journeys and for any journeys that you're intending to bring your participants, clients, passengers, pasajeros, as they call it in the jungle. Okay, so just diving into spiritual healing and ritual arts. So I have here a little bit around just the basics around altar making, altar creation. So for personal use, altar creation or work or altar devotion is a form of artistic expression, and it provides a space and a medium for you to attend to your daily rituals and spiritual practice. You can also take this homework. I guess technically it's on here. For this course, you'll be required to create your own altar in your own home. And if you plan to host a ceremony, one for your ceremony as well. As I have here, you'll want to include one item to represent each of the elements, and perhaps any sacred objects you have collected over your travels, special crystals that you work with, or any photos and representations of teachers. You can also put your ancestors, deities, spiritual guides, and allies. Why would you want to work with an altar? Well, sacred altars provide a sanctuary, healing. They provide healing itself and are a connection point to your own divinity, your spirit allies and guides. They provide a safe space to practice your unique spirituality, your devotion, and sacred authority. This is something that as a healer, you're going to continually develop your sacred authority. You are the authority of your sacred space, of your container, of the ceremony of your life. And altars are a way to ground the energy that you're working with. And so they should represent your prayer. So for example, if you're working with the medicine wheel of the elements or of a specific lineage, then you're going to want to kind of arrange that altar to represent that. And when I was starting off my practice of ceremony, it was kind of like my cheat sheet, because I could just like look to my altar and be like, oh yeah, I have to say that thing, or I have to call in that energy. It's also a practice in self-care. Your altar is a representation of your sacredness, of your divinity, of a part of your essence. So you want to take care of your altar the same way you take care of yourself. You want to clean it, dust it off. You want to also love it up, right? You want to bring it gifts, maybe some fresh flowers, some fresh water, some chocolate, just the same ways that you are learning to honor and love yourself. This practice of holding an altar is an extension of that. It's a way to make life sacred. It's a sacralization of life, right? You bring an altar into any space, your room, your living room, all of a sudden that space becomes more sacred. It becomes a temple. And it's an energetic charging station. It can help support your practice. So yeah, like I have here, it can provide stability and grounding, build discipline, increase order, giving shape, form to intuitive and creative energy. So what way an altar supports me is like if I as a yogi, like they say, like the hardest thing is just getting to the mat. Well, yeah, I have my mat in front of my altar. So it's like, I don't, I can just start by sitting there and starting there. And then whatever flows after that is perfect. Prayer doesn't have to be a certain order every time, but structure does support you, of course. And this is what I'm here to share. I can also an altar can look like or can enhance a vision board practice. So goes into a little bit of more like ritual magic or manifestation magic. Like I've had like altars near my vision boards, and it's the same thing. It's like I have my vision board with my. You can also write them out, right? Your goals or your dreams, desires, and having the vision board with my altar. It's like I go to my altar, I'm looking at my vision board, I'm feeding my altar with some flowers, some offerings, and it's like this charging station for my dreams, aligning me to my purpose, keeping me focused. Creating an altar is also a form of art or creative expression and a meditation. I think you can see it's kind of in style now. There's a big trend of making like earth altars with flowers, etc. And this can be really fun practice, meditative practice, and a creative practice. And it ignites this inspiration, remembrance, and a strong connection to spirit. In a temple, you might see altars, which provide a space for spiritual practices such as ceremonies, circles, gatherings, rituals, and a sacred space for sharing devotional practices, collective group healing, celebration, offerings, also council, and any other types of ceremonies. Something that is important when setting up your sacred space, whether that's an altar or you're setting up the space for your workshop or ceremony offering that you're going to be offering to the community, is to know the location and the territory you are working in. So definitely important. Like if you're working on indigenous land, like know who are the ancestors of the land, know who the native people are of those lands. Know if you have the ability to know like what is okay and what's not okay, amazing. But also just even being in prayer and in reverence and asking for permission from the guardians of this land can be very powerful. And I invite you to tune into that. Anytime you're going to say, offer a prayer, a group work, a ceremony, out of respect and humility, tuning into the sacred ancestors of the guardians of the land, asking for permission and saying, waiting to hear that response, that thank you, thank you, thank you. You're also going to want to know the space you're working on. Is it natural? Is it outdoors? Is it indoors? Can you locate where the cardinal directions are? So placing yourself in your compass, right? It's like a medicine wheel is like a compass. It's going to guide you. It's going to direct. It's like your ship that's going to take you where it needs to go. And so when you're in ceremony, by grounding into the cardinal directions, understanding where they are, you are locking in this energy, the sacred work that you're about to do in time and space. And as I have here, with your indigenous sacred land, there are usually customs or traditions that should be respected or adhered to. Okay. And so, yeah, when you're looking in the space, are the four elements represented naturally, or do you need to use something to represent them, bringing them in figuratively, like with an altar, symbols, objects, or words? So it's like Mother Earth is like the greatest temple of all, right? She has all the elements naturally happening. Literally, we can just show up, and the points of the connection is that much more easy and direct. But sometimes we're bringing the space into, say, an office space or a yoga studio or just a house or a room. It's helpful to bring in some of these items into that space. So a cup of water to represent the water, a feather maybe, or an incense to represent air, a candle for fire, maybe a crystal or stone or rock to represent the earth or flowers. And because this is coming from my program I have here, like, do you know the capacity, the floor space, and the aesthetic of the venue? This can be helpful, especially if you're collaborating with spaces and this is your life's work. What is the overall vibe of the space you want to offer your work at? What's the venue's mission and intention? These can be important to know and can also help you in knowing if that's a good fit for where you want to offer your work. Something I'm also offering my program is like sacred business consulting and coaching as well. And get creative with the space, make it fun. I have here, use your divine feminine, or just use your divine creative grace, intuition, and inspiration to make things beautiful and magical and playful. I think this is something that you guys have dove in a little bit, so I'm just gonna kind of breeze through it. Some of it might be review, and like I said, if something doesn't resonate or doesn't align, or just taking it in. This is my medicine wheel and this is a way that I teach it, and many people teach it differently. So when I teach the medicine wheel, I come from a more like Wicca perspective. So practical magic in the sense that I'm keeping it very open-ended so that then my students can then choose what lineage specifically they want to work with. And if they have any ancestral ties to specific lineages that have medicine wheels that are, the information is still available, then I always suggest like start there. But also if you're on the path and you work with certain lineages, then obviously you can apply it there. So the way that I'm teaching it is more of like an open-ended Wicca or say practical magic perspective, where essentially as magic practitioners, we can devise our medicine wheel almost any way we like. But I do use, like, for example, in the medicine wheel that I called in earlier, it's coming from some foundations in the elements, and they are in the placement or direction based on the Mexica medicine wheel. And also I work with Andean cosmology and some in the sacred cosmology of the Ketos. So the animals are placed based on the world that they live in and that element that it represents. And yeah, and it's actually evolved over time. Like, I invite you as a practitioner to give yourself grace in this respect. Like, as you're developing it, like, for a lot of years, I had like the earth in the south and the water in the west, and it worked. It still worked. I still had a lot of transformation, and it still provided me a lot of healing. Then, as I started to integrate the moon dance, and now I'm about to be on my 4th year, well, the directions were a little bit different. And interestingly enough, as that information came to me, I also got initiated by the Caros down in Peru. And when I was talking to my girlfriend about it, she also shared something about the serpent being represented by the water more, and the jaguar more by the earth. And so it actually coincided with this just alignment of me switching those 2 directions. And so now I'm calling it in that way. But it doesn't take away from all of the magic and grace and gifts that I was given in those times when I had it the other way. So I think in this work, it's really important to just hold a lot of grace for yourself as you grow and evolve and learn. There's no right or wrong way to pray at the end of the day. I think this is really important to understand. Yep. So again, like I shared, sacralization and magic, the importance and power functions, and the reverence you give objects, concepts, ideas, rituals that you consider sacred. Sacred meaning holy, which means worthy of devotion. By following your heart, allowing your innate attraction and desire to lead you to what you find holy and beautiful is how you can discover more of what your unique medicine is. I believe we all carry unique codes, and we all are sovereign beings to discover what that means to each one of us uniquely. Yes, these ancient indigenous lineages are here to support us and help us remember, but ultimately our souls are free and sovereign, and are timeless, right? Are ancient, timeless, and probably have shared many lives. And so at the end of the day, we're going to resonate with different things at different times. And as long as we give each of those things its honorable time and dedication, and we honor it with the highest and utmost reverence that we can give, um, we do our best. And remember, you are the medicine. Any external object is simply a representation of your soul, your intentions, and your inner and astral world. Do unto others what is also healing for you. Share your sacred practice of medicine. Share with others what you know to be true because you have lived it and experienced it personally or in very close proximity. So this also kind of brings in the conversation of integrity, right? Like doing what you know, what you actually have embodied and learned, not teaching something that you don't know or have embodied or literally just learned like yesterday and haven't fully integrated into your personal practice. Use your imagination and intuition. Follow the good feelings. Lean into what makes you feel good and at ease in your heart and body. And work with items, beings, spiritual energies that inspire you, that bring you strength and bring you healing. Using your intention and your will create the conditions for the work you are doing. Your words and thoughts are like spells, so be impeccable with your words, your thoughts and intention. This is why taking time for personal reflection, integration, and even making time to work with outside mentors and teachers are a must. The word abracadabra means I will create as I speak. The more you believe in your words, your sacred tools, your practices, ultimately yourself, the more power you give to them and yourself. Magic is real. You are magical. Believe in your magic. Working with an invocation, you can use the word I invoke in ceremony to create a sacred space. You can also use the words calling in, welcoming into the space, opening the doors. And now you guys have a recorded version of my prayers, so you could always listen back if that inspired you. We have the cardinal directions, east, south, west, north. And as I shared earlier, you are free to choose what characteristics you want to apply to each direction. If you're working with magic, like white Wicca, for example, this is how you create your own medicine wheel. On a piece of paper, you would assign each direction an element, spirit, animal, and quality. And you would reflect on what each of these directions mean to you and reflect and journal on what each of these elements mean to you as well. Different tribes arrange the elements and directions differently. For example, in North America and Celtic pagan traditions, many tribes open the directions or begin their invocation by starting in the east. Others might start in the south. For some, the east represents the air element, some for some fire, etc. I think knowing that consciousness isn't absolute, sacredness isn't absolute is really important. Walking this path, everything is relational. So I would say every ceremony is going to be unique if you're like a traveler like myself, each territory I work in is going to be unique. If I'm collaborating or sharing a prayer with others, always staying open-minded to what the present moment is asking for. And see, like even here, I have it from when I was before with like the east fire, west water, etc. So this is just an example. Now I have the water in the south and the earth in the west because of these new teachings that came into my life and had me aligned to these different energies differently. And I'll just share like something that I've learned along this path is that these cardinal directions, these elements, and these sacred altars or pillars for the indigenous traditions and natives are not just energy. Like a lot of times people speak, oh, it's energy or it's an archetype. But for them, it goes beyond that. And they actually give these energies a spiritual or familial quality. So they're really like our ancestors, like the earth, these elements are our ancestors, these directions are our ancestors. They're our great grandmothers and grandfathers. And so the more we understand these energies to be part of our spiritual family, the more we cultivate a heart-centered or heart-based relationship and love for them, and vice versa. So you can call them the sacred directions, and then we have the heart of the creator or heart of the earth. I have here like a Reiki symbol and how kind of this symbol, this image kind of brings it all together. And so, yeah, in Mayan tradition, we call it the heart of the earth, heart of the sky. And in India or in Vedic traditions, it's yoga, Shakti, Shiva. In the jungle, it's Mother Earth, Great Spirit. Up to you. You can use these as references. So you can call in your own guides, angels, toad and spirit animals. Um, Again, it's up to you. Shakti Ma, Shiva. I have different just words for that. Moon, the sun, mother, father, God, creator, creatrix, yin, yang. At the time I was doing this course, I created this module. I was working a lot with the goddess. So I was calling in different goddess archetypes. So I have here the dragon tribe and this book, Sophia Code. And each one of them, I gave time to study and understand each of their archetypal energies. So, less is more, but if you're wanting to work with energies, I just advise you to really give them proper time and devotion to really understand what you're working with before you just jump into it and open a portal that you're not really like fully integrated. And then lastly, you might want to work with the lunar calendar and or the astrological collective energies. So I don't know if any of you study astrology, but each planet is also represented by an element. So there's a lot of the same, there's a lot of interplay between shamanism and even astrology, because if you approach it from an intuitive perspective, like what you know about the elements, then you can also even develop your own relationship with the planets or the chakras using your own insight, your own direct connection and language that you have with the sacred elements. And like, for example, in my course, as I was working with cacao and I have developed a deep relationship with the Mayans and the Tolkien calendar, you can also bring in the energies of the day into your sacred practice and ceremony. So I have a little bit of info of that and like the app that I use to tune into the energy of each day. Today is 1 Akbal, so we're starting a new Tresena. Akbal is the dawn, or like the time of the opposite. What's the dawn? It's the sunrise, sunset time is like luminous, this liminal space between dark and light. And so Akbal is known for kind of walking between both worlds, the dark and light. And it's 1, so it's the first day of the new Tresena, and it's actually the Tresena of my birthday. So on 10 so 10 days from now, it's my Mayan birthday. So just going deeper, ritual magic, creating a vibe or experiencing, using all of the senses that allows people to transcend and enter another dimension or reality, connecting them to their higher self or their divine self. First, always start by cleansing the space, bringing in the Reiki symbols, angels, or whatever energy you work with to elevate the energy. Ask permission from the local guardian spirits of the land to perform a ceremony or ritual. Set the space, choose the decor, the music, arrange the seating, instruments if needed. Grounding the intention or energy of the event, the experience, using an altar, decor, crystal grid, state your prayer, call in Reiki symbols and guides. I have Reiki here because I also teach Reiki. That could be like your invocation prayer or whatever energy you're working with, unconditional love, light energy. I have here, before you open the space, before your ceremony, there's a mini ceremony. So, for example, like in this space, before we began, I started with a short meditation, right? I brought us into a collective breath. I connected us to our heart and to our body. So you can use, a short meditation for that. You can use a collective breath and Om, or have people connect to their heartbeat. Because especially when we're starting, we want to help people, we want to bring them into presence. You can also cleanse their energy with a sage, or your choice of a smudge. You can also use a collective Om, or also, like I used in this class, we use the visualization meditation to ground our energy and connect to our tree of life, plugging into the heart of the earth and the heart of the sky. Then once you've established the pre-opening into the ceremony, then you can go into your invocation. So these are kind of like steps for how to set up a ceremony, the basics. Once you do your invocation, you'll work with your medicine wheel, calling in the medicine wheel. If you're working with the sacrament, after you've done the opening, you're going to take your sacrament to help people go deeper, connect to their senses. It also creates a unified field. I have here, for example, cacao, tea, essential oil, salt, water, cannabis, any other medicines that are in alignment with the intention of the ceremony. Conditions or space we are creating. Psilocybin, I teach the foundations and allow for people to create their own experience, just kind of helping guide in that way. And then once you've opened the space, once you've taken the sacrament, if that's what you're going to work with, you could also even be pulling a card, so if your essential oil doesn't have to be, you're going to go into whatever exercise you want to bring people through. So whether it's a guided meditation, maybe you want to continue with prayer, maybe you want to bring in some movement, dance, yoga, sound healing, shamanic journey, medicine songs. Space is yours to create the alchemical container for the journey you want to bring people on. I have here, if you're working with any strong plant medicines, holding space for silent meditation and or sound healing, medicine music is a standard protocol. I think when working with the sacred sacrament, the medicine itself has a lot of medicine for you. So many times, I think just creating the space is for that medicine to communicate with the people holding this, the sacred authority, creating the container, creating this clean space for people to dive into this is sometimes more than enough. Yeah. And I have here for shamanic techniques using plant medicine, I advise you study for at least 3 to 5 years under a specific school, lineage, or teacher. And this is my personal advice. This is definitely just an intro. So it's up to you and your own heart and your own code of integrity and ethics, right? That you're going to decide this for yourself. Ceremonies, though. Oh, yeah. So I'm going to put back up a little bit. I have here just a point that in council circles or other types of ceremonies like fire, new moon, full moon, or cacao ceremonies, you can also pose questions or prompts for intentional discussions, right? Like a talking circle, or they call in some traditions like a circle of the word. A ceremony can literally just be, a group of people discussing a specific topic. And I have some notes here, like when doing this, you might want to take into account how much time you have, and if you're going to let everyone have an equal amount of time to talk. So this comes into just more of like the nuances of like creating sacred space. You can have a talking stick or a timer. This can come in handy just to keep the energy flowing, the discussion flowing, and it gently invites everyone to speak. I have here like important notes. Sometimes people need to be witnessed and will take up a lot of space and energy. In these circumstances, it is up to you as a leader to hold unconditional loving space, but also use compassionate and clear communication to direct the energy back to the ceremony and the collective intention. These things will happen, and these are opportunity to exercise your judgment and power It's, you're holding space for everyone, not just one person. So this just comes with practice. I mean, I have here, it's not, if it's a private ceremony or healing session, it's not as big of a deal. But if you are on a time schedule, gently finding ways to redirect the conversation is an art, and that you'll continually learn and develop as you practice. And always do your best to show up in the highest good for everyone. Trust your intuition, trust your judgment. And I have here, if you open the ceremony with an invocation or calling in the directions, you must close them or give thanks to all the helping spirits and people present. So I always encourage people, close the space the way you opened it. I have here some notes of like how you can direct the energy after a ceremony if you don't want to share in community hugs. This fosters intimacy and connection. You can also encourage people to integrate with one person before they leave. And you can also even do an integration circle after you're done with the ceremony, holding space, like, hey, does anyone have anything they want to share while you're still in the circle before releasing the people? And then this is more of a business tip, but you could then also present any upcoming offerings that you have as well. And then types of ceremonies. We have gratitude, where we give thanks to the blessings bestowed upon you and your community. We have offering ceremonies where we give offerings to the land, spirits, ancestors, guardians of the territory. We can have ceremonies for the new moon where we're planting seeds, intentions for the lunar cycle. During the new moon, the energy is a bit more yin or inward, more feminine in nature, intuitive, receptive. Can help us connect to water and our internal emotions, our intuitions, or to our inner darkness or shadow as the moon is in its dark phase. During the full moon, we are illuminated, right? The moon is illuminating, so it's an illumination phase of what is desiring to become manifest. It's more of a solar energy, more yang or masculine, more of an expressive, active energy. That's why there's a lot of drum circles or dance rituals on full moon. If you're fire ceremony, song sharing, dancing all night, drum circles for releasing or expressing energy are quite common. We can also have ceremonies that are elemental, honoring each of the elements individually or collectively, similar to the moon dance. We have fire ceremonies where we connect and talk intimately, share songs, prayers, and intentions. We can do healing sessions, which are a form of ceremony, and they're intentional or private work. Example, womb healing ritual. I was doing a lot of at the beginning of my journey, and randomly we'll still be do like divine feminine ceremonies for women, for them to connect to the goddess, connect to their womb, to maybe connect and heal their sexual energy. I might take them to a river or outside, somewhere in nature, a sacred altar. And here's ceremonies for specific work, like chakra work. I've done series of ceremony workshops on the chakras, for all the elements, women's healing, astrology, numerology, etc. We have water blessing ceremonies, which one of my favorites is to hold the ceremony to honor and raise awareness of the importance of water, sharing in water blessing songs or prayers, invoking the water, the rain, right? Purification and water that brings nourishment to the seeds. Many times the farmers really count on our prayers so that they can have good harvest, and has been practiced by women and by indigenous people for thousands of years. This is the way that the indigenous support the harmony of all of the elements on planet Earth. We might have a ceremony where we share songs. Sometimes it can be more of a performative kind of experience, or a co-creative song circle, kirtan, music jam. one of my favorites. Um, Ceremonies are also held with initiations or tribal rites of passage. For example, when a young lady gets her period and becomes a woman, it's a common one, or when a child becomes an adult. Birthdays, weddings are also a type of ritual or ceremony. We can also hold ceremonies for grieving a lost one, its partnership, relationship, even an old version of ourselves. We can have ceremonies where we honor a goddess or a god, a deity, even ourself, a form of puja, which is a devotional ceremony in which the object or person, deity of this of the ceremony is honored as holy god or goddess. And these happen a lot in India, where they have these goddess pujas or deity pujas, where they'll have like the statue of the deity, and they just pour offerings, flowers, milk, honey, yogurt, all these things, and you just do this for hours. And as you're pouring these offerings on this deity, it's like what I was sharing about altars, like you also receive the energy as well. It's really powerful and beautiful. An opportunity to experience one. Very quite potent. And there's ceremonies where we are perhaps working with plant medicine, and intentions include, they're visionary, bringing clarity, bringing visions, higher perspective. They can bring healing, they can bring resolution. They can also cleanse, liberate, right? There's famous purge. And also even plant medicine can be used in a communal way to foster connection and intimacy within the community. It doesn't always have to be for healing. It can also be for connection, celebration as well. And last, another type of example of a ceremony is a dance ritual, collaborative. It can be intuitive, artistic, expressive, or with a lot of order, like the moon dance. We dance to 4 elements, 4 nights, 4 directions, 4 doors. We wear a uniform, we dance in a certain way. It's all very much this union of the masculine and feminine coming together. But overall, ceremonies are an opportunity to unify community, creating a collective energy or unified field of consciousness in a circle, ideally, that awakens, activates, and expands consciousness. Ceremonies are a microcosmic reflection of the macrocosm. And what do I mean by this? When I was learning my first days of learning how to hold ceremony and call in the directions, a dear brother of mine was like, well, if you think about it, when you call in the directions, you're placing yourself or the container, the circle that you're in the center of the universe, because you're literally placing yourself. You're calling these directions, right? That sacred compass, and you are in the center. So that's the microcosm. And whatever happens in the container of the microcosm then goes out to the macrocosm, and vice versa. What's going on in the macrocosm is going to be felt and witnessed in the microcosm. And here, ceremonies are an opportunity to share in medicine journeys, to meditate, pray on social, creative solutions. You can also work to use the ceremony to promote activism, create connections, foster community, you create a container for people to express themselves authentically, to heal trauma, interpersonal relationships, to worship, and to sacralize and ritualize life. Ceremonies are an opportunity to set intentions, honor initiations, share spiritual wisdom, ancient practices. And ceremonies are an opportunity to create safe and sacred space to worship the divine within us and all around, to bring people back home and to their truth. Otherwise, it's a religion or a doctrine, and that's not what we're here for. And so, yeah, I have a little thing. So I'll just share this briefly. Here, sacred cacao ceremonies are a vehicle for people to come together in a mystical experience to connect to their hearts and the divine. Since ancient times, tribes, societies, communities have gathered under unified intention in this way, whether it to be pray, to celebrate, give thanks, or ask for healing. A ceremony is medicine. As our society evolves, moving away from institutionalized religion, we must remember that spirituality, connection to spirit, the divine, and the universal life force energy that is inside us and all around us is our natural born right, and that we can live in sacred ceremony and in communion with the universe whenever and wherever we want. There are different ways one might practice their spirituality. One can practice yoga, dance, pray, meditate, go outside, sing, connect with loved ones, or simply live with presence and in gratitude. In sacred ceremonies, we decide we want to do these things together. Living from the heart in gratitude and communion with the universe, the planet, great spirit, the elements, and natural energies all around us allows one to tap into the magic and grand play of life. When we come together under a unified intention to connect to our hearts, to share our light, our love, we are able to transform, heal, and harmonize our lives. We are able to manifest our dreams and change the collective consciousness. Research in quantum physics can show that when people come together for mass meditation or prayer, the energy field is amplified and felt in multiple locations and dimensions. Thought and sound vibration has the ability to change and shape, manipulate matter and our reality. Energy medicine, which is intentional, focused intention, thought, sound, can change the structure of our DNA and connective tissue. The heart has been shown to be a transmitter or radio of this information, able to read and communicate information before the event even happens. This has all been proven through science and experiments, and the heart is able to exchange information with the collective consciousness, i.e. universal consciousness, before the brain is even able to. So cacao pure chocolate is a sacred plant medicine that allows one to connect to the heart, to their true self, and the frequency and feeling of unconditional love and connection. One of our teachers, Nana Marina, which I'm sure you might have heard of, since LaJayla works with her a lot, says, oh, people always talk about how the cacao opens your heart. Well, really what cacao does, she says, is in actuality, it amplifies the voice of your heart and your ability to hear the heart. And that always really resonated with me, as our hearts are going to, it may open as a result of working with cacao, but I think this point of creating the space and opening or creating that direct line of communication with your heart really drives home the purpose of why we work with this particular medicine. Cacao has been used for thousands of years by the indigenous people of Mexico, Central and South America. From the high priest and rulers to the everyday householder and child, everyone drank chocolate to feel good, to celebrate love and the good things in life. Cacao is believed to empower, enlighten, and inspire the individuals who consumed it. The Mayans and Aztecs considered cacao to be the blood of the earth or heart blood for its potent heart-opening properties. This described the love that is accessed when it's consumed. As accessed when cacao is consumed, the same love of Divine Mother, Goddess Gaia, the universe, Great Spirit, planet Earth. And today, a cacao ritual and ceremony is a space for you to receive inspiration, support, and healing, and let go of any pain, fears, or judgments that keep you from living out your highest potential. It is a delicious celebration of your sacred sovereignty and of your magical powers, of your innate gifts and healing abilities. And it's an opportunity to tap into the limitless healing potential of your heart of love. So this is more of like my personal spiel on cacao ceremonies, of course. In my cacao ceremonies, I combine spiritual teachings from around the world to create an experience that is mystical and also educational. Teaching tools for personal growth, self-love and acceptance, self-healing, self-empowerment by combining different forms of yoga, meditation, dance, ritual arts, embodiment work, energy healing, sound healing. Cacao ceremonies facilitate our evolutionary journey by allowing us to feel more deeply, think more clearly, and giving us the motivation and support we need to follow our heart's true desire so that we may manifest our dreams. Cacao ceremonies have transformed my life by opening me to my heart's true purpose, and it can do the same for you. And I also work with a Mayan women's collective that I've been supporting and distributing cacao from for now 7 years. Their operation, the collective, is known as the House of Love. And it's 13 women that are all either widowed or single mothers, or their daughters that otherwise wouldn't have the opportunity to work. And I love this cacao. It's super rich, decadent, has a nutty flavor, and personally has the highest amount of theobromine from all the other cacaos that I've tried from the lake or Guatemala. And so if you are interested, you can always contact me directly. Yeah, and I'll share for a second before we begin. My website is heartcosm.net, www.heartcosm.net. My email is heartchocolateyoga@gmail.com. And my Instagram is at heartcosm_net. So I go by Carla Jeanette. Oops. So yeah, we're gonna switch gears now. So I'm gonna give you some space for a human needs break. So if you need to grab a glass of water, go to the bathroom, we're taking a sacred pause. And we'll be back for the second portion of this class. And so what I want to just chat about in these last portion of the class is about, so in the first portion, we talked about just sacred ceremony and what that means in general, right? What ritual means, how we can use ritual in our life. It was very dense. I went through that quite quickly, but you have the recording, so you can always go back over it and the words as well. And so just going a little bit deeper, I'm going to touch on just the first portion of my sacred space holding module, which would come next in my course, which is around how to hold space. And this touches more on so that was how to create the container to hold space. Now I want to talk a little bit about holding space and holding energetic space. So some of this could be review if you're an energy healer already, or this could be a gentle intro into some fundamentals around what I like to call energy etiquette. And so as a healer, as an energy worker, and anytime you're going to go into sacred space, it's really important to be grounded in your energy. So because I teach this, I always do the grounding practice with my clients. So before any ceremony, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this tree meditation. And it's a way for me to ground and for them to ground. And I feel like I love to teach because I love to give people the tools to empower them. So that's just one of my ways of providing healing is through teaching. And so you don't necessarily have to guide everyone through that grounding tree meditation, but that's an example of how you as a healer can ground your energy first before opening the space to provide a service or energy healing modality. And sound, healing falls into that, meditation. Even if you're going to do a speech, honestly, or share a song, grounding is very supportive to that. And, once we ground our energy, I always immediately, shortly after, will go into clearing my energy. So what that looks like is calling back all of my energy. So all of me, all of my soul that might be fragmented in different places, times, people, things, cords that, because especially if I'm working with people and I'm on social media or people are seeing me in different ways, I call back all of my energy, calling back all of my cords. Look at that. And then I release any cords that I may be attaching to others, returning all of those cords back to them. Except for, the only cords I really want to have are the ones connecting me to the earth and to the sky, and then the elements if I'm working with those. Otherwise, calling back all my energy, releasing anyone's energy or the energy of things, places, energies back to where they came from. That can look like different ways, but I like to visualize these energies, like these cords, like a root, like literally getting pulled from at the root, and then not cutting them, not like it's just cutting them, and there's like these little weeds that are like still hanging out. Like we pull the weed, we pull the cord, and then we seal it with golden light, like, so that it's like it's not growing back. We seal it. And so yeah, I think that's something that I've learned over the years, and I just, it's a tip for when you want to clear energy cords. You can also visualize cords kind of like burning or dissolving away that you might have with another person. So clearing our energy allows us for as space holders to show up as a clear channel with in our truth, and yeah, hopefully not carrying any energy that does not support us. And something I really has really supported me on my journey is to work with the sacred heart flame meditation, like similar to what we did at the beginning, connecting to my heart meditation. In the Taoist practice, it's called inner smile meditation, where we're really, in essence, connecting to our divine nature and our healing, our powers for healing. Ironically, or not ironically, of course, like if we tap on our thymus, which is where our high heart is, we actually do stimulate our immune system. And so what my heart flame meditation is like tapping on my heart to like connect to my soul and to connect to gratitude and my inner smile. And the more I'm like, oh, I'm grateful for this, the more I smile, and I smile at my inner smile or my sacred flame. And this starts to amplify my field of energy, of positive energy, loving, healing energy, until it eventually surrounds all of my body. So we called back our cords, we released our cords, we've healed and amplified our energy that's directly connected to source. And then we can always seal our energy with a shield of energy, as I did at the beginning. I work with the silver shield of energy because for me, that represents like the mirror, or like, yeah, like the mirror effect. Like anything that tries to come at me that does not serve is like reflected back, deflected back. And then work with the golden ray of energy, because for me, that golden energy represents like Mahatma, Buddha, Christ energy, very healing energy that's just there. And the rainbow filter as well. Like, so that comes from a more shamanic perspective of allowing energy to be filtered and transmuted through your energy field, especially if you're a space holder and healer, and you can make yourself available for that. Wonderful. So share the screen now. Oh, share screen. So something that you may have picked up on was in my opening prayer, I called upon this frequency of unconditional love, crystalline or Christ consciousness. And what does that mean to me is I believe that Christ and the other avatars that have showed up on this planet that embodied Christ or crystal consciousness are teachers of this, the most potent frequency of all, that which is unconditional love, truth, and compassion. And as healers, as space holders, we are here to master that many times. Sometimes we are given not we've given, you know, maybe a bad draw of cards, right, in our life. And part of that reason was that we came here on this earth to master the conditions that we perhaps were born into. And this is really taking on a hero's journey approach, which I say is like the hero's journey is like the healer's journey and vice versa. The two are the same. You know, a healer or a hero will be confronted with an obstacle in their life, and they will go on a journey to heal themselves or overcome this obstacle. Along the way, they're going to meet guides and guardians of different portals, and hopefully, if they're they stay in alignment with their higher self, eventually they will overcome whatever obstacle that they're moving through, heal themselves, or at least come to a deeper understanding and acceptance of what they're perhaps working with. And then once they have come out the other side, the healer's journey isn't complete at healing oneself. The healer's journey is then turns into the sharing and the rescuing and saving and helping others that you can help using the same tools or path that you used. So everyone, from my perspective, everyone's healer's journey really starts with themselves, right? Unless you were born into a lineage, like for example, I think about my teacher. He was born in the womb of an ayahuasquera. So yeah, before he was even born, he was already drinking ayahuasca and was just knew that that was his path, right? But that's not the case for a lot of us in the modern world, right? A lot of us in the modern world, our souls were born into different circumstances and had to like perhaps even crawl and like make our way out of like some dark, sticky situations I know I have. And along this journey, we get to learn how to embody this Christ consciousness. I believe that this frequency of Christ consciousness is one of the most powerful, light, loving frequencies that is available to us in this universe. And it's here to teach us, as I say, unconditional love, compassion, acceptance, interconnectedness, oneness, humility, understanding, and forgiveness, which I will forever be mastering, but it gets easier and easier as we learn how to be more human. And I also believe that part of being a human is mastering this, because the fact is that humans make errors. And that's also a big place where we make a leap from being a child to an adult. The child is an idealistic, right? The child mind is idealistic, thinks, oh, our superiors, our partner, our parents are going to be perfect. Our teachers are going to be perfect because that's what they're supposed to be. Versus the adult that understands that no, all humans are human and make errors, and not our teachers, not our elders, not our family are going to be perfect. And the more you walk this path and work with different teachers, the more you're also asked to like understand that humanness, which gives space for you as a leader, as a teacher, to also be human. And so part of being a leader, a teacher, a space holder, healer, ceremonialist is like doing your own work, doing your own self-care, doing the shadow work, right? And if you're not willing to look at your own shadow, then there's probably judgment there, and you're probably not embodying Christ consciousness. So the first way we can learn how to hold space for others is by holding space for ourselves. So as we do shadow work, as we ask the questions of, as we question ourselves, like, are we in integrity? What is our intention for why we're doing what we're doing? We're giving ourselves a space to learn how to be honest with ourselves. And we can't be honest with ourselves if we're judging ourselves. So we're constantly learning and refining how to hold space for ourselves through learning how to embody this Christ consciousness of unconditional love and compassion. So self-love, self-compassion, self-healing is one of your greatest teachers and one of the greatest ways to begin the healer's journey and to refine it. I have here, like, our judgments of others are usually projections And what we judge in others is usually what we judge in ourselves. And that's part of the mirror effect. So anytime we find ourselves like, oh, so and so is doing that thing, well, it's an opportunity to look at ourselves and think about, why are we judging that? If we allowed ourselves to do that, what would that feel like? Are we not doing the thing because we have conditioning that we may have got indoctrined with from our elders, from our society? Is that person actually doing something wrong? Do we even know where their intention is? Or are we projecting our intention, our why for what they're doing? And so this path requires a lot of humility and asks of us to be very authentic and honest with ourselves always. When we are holding space for ourselves, and especially when we're creating sacred space for others to heal, it's really important as to be a fair witness, to hold non-bias, non-judgment, non-duality. And so like, I want to back up a little bit, like you have here becoming the observer. But so I think there's a huge trend with this idea of holding space, right? And I even have this workshop titled as that because it's a language that people understand. But I think what's important as an energy healer too is like, we don't need to actually hold anyone's energy for them. Like more than anything, we are here to create a container for people to come to healing on their own. And maybe we create the container and maybe we mirror, a better word is like mirror unconditional love, so that that person can feel safe enough to do their work, right? It's gonna versus like us holding them, or like, we hear about like the empath that like takes on all of their clients and the world, but I was like, no, that's not empowered at all, but we can create a space for people to hold themselves. That's even more empowering. We can be a mirror and hold the frequency of unconditional love, so that people can learn how to be honest with themselves and come to the healing, the realizations, the illumination on their own. I have here, everything is a projection. Our presence is key, selflessness. Even as space holders, we have to understand everything that we think is a projection of our mind, of what we've been conditioned to think. And so learning how to be a bit more selfless, less egoic, and again, like I said, create the container, hold the space, allows for us to become more of this observer, this listener, and even just being a deep listener and a creator of a space, a container, is a great service. It's only when we become a master or we're a mentor and, to some degree we've mastered something, that then we have that right to really guide others and mentor others. But, especially in the beginning journeys, like just create the space and learn and practice with yourself. Create the space for yourself. Whatever you're going to share with the world, whether it's a healing session or a ceremony or workshop, like do that for yourself. Practice that as much as you can, and go through the prompts and the questions and the self-reflection yourself first. Mirroring, like I shared, mirroring love, curiosity, like even with yourself, like, can you hold space for yourself? Can you be a loving, curious eye? Like, oh, I'm judging that person. Oh, I wonder why that is. What about me is judging them? Be curious, be compassionate, as you perhaps do shadow work and you discover things about yourself that you don't like, or you remember things that happened to you that maybe someone did to you that you didn't like. Can you be curious about why they did that? Can you be compassionate? Like, did they receive abuse? Were they perhaps an addict, or were they never given love or never taught how to love? That's us learning how to hold compassion and love in greater and higher ways. And it's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy. It's a practice. Things like plant medicines like cacao or ayahuasca, especially And I feel like most plant medicines too gives us different perspectives. So like cacao ayahuasca, in my cosmology, hold more of like a feminine essence. So the feminine energy being this compassionate, caring, unconditional, loving energy allows for me to kind of process things from that mother's perspective, right? That loving perspective. Because a mother is going to have a child, and that child might make errors. You know, that child might be doing bad things, but a mother still might love that child, right? And so that feminine energy of Christ consciousness is going to express itself that way. Then there's other plants and medicines that might be traditionally considered more masculine, like grandfather energy, or like Washuma, San Pedro, even sometimes mushrooms for me can kind of connect me to this more masculine, loving energy that's more firm, like that doesn't look, that's not right. Like, don't do that anymore. Can you be more disciplined? Can you be more focused? Oh, maybe you don't need to talk to that person anymore. You don't need to do that thing or think it that way. Still another form of unconditional love, but maybe from more of that masculine or fatherly approach, which both are great. And you might express one more than the other. Um, but yeah, when we're holding space, um, what I feel the world, the plans, the collective consciousness is speaking right now is that it needs more of that feminine motherly energy more than anything. And I think that's why a lot of us are drawn to medicines like cacao and ayahuascas. It's really hard to heal when you're feeling judged, right? It's really hard to heal when you're feeling condemned or guilty or shamed. So this energy of the mother allows for us to access this unconditional loving energy that opens us up. And then as we advance and as we're able to look at our shadow with more compassion, then that father energy can come in and give us perspective, but we won't take it as hard. We're able to receive it and actually integrate it and evolve, right? And for the really advanced souls, they're not really, advanced souls, you might already, it's not a judgment of where you're at. You could also be working with the trickster energy, which allows for you to just laugh at the whole fucking thing. So it's the beginner and advanced, because it's like at the end of the day, it's like, you know, we're all kind of funny and our minds are kind of funny as well. um, I think one of the questions that if you're working with someone or yourself that you can always ask is, how does that make you feel? Or being curious, why does that make you feel that way? And why? Probably just continually asking yourself, why am I doing that? Why am I feeling that way? And always thinking about the mirror effect. Oh, that person is doing that and it's triggering some judgment, some type of feeling. Why? Have I done that before? Do I judge myself for that? Am I trying to correct that? Okay. Thank you for that mirror. Thank you for that reflection. I know the only person that we can control is ourselves, right? So we do better. And we teach and help others kind of come to that for themselves as well. And so I have here like teaching versus coaching versus healing. This is more based on like my work, like with teaching. I'm going to be sharing information kind of like this. It's textbook. I'm just I'm dishing out a bunch of info and you're receiving it. Coaching is looking like more of like, I'm your coach. I'm encouraging you. I'm cheering you on. I'm giving you that emotional support so that you can do what you need to do. Um, it's not going to be based on right or wrong. It's just like, I'm there to coach you. Versus teaching, I might be sharing you some, of course, it's my perspective or what I've learned, where there's going to be like, well, this is the right way, this is the wrong way. And then I have versus healing, right? Where healing is more of that embodiment of the unconditional loving, divine energy, of just sharing loving, healing energy and becoming a conduit for that energy so that that energy or that plant or whatever it is that your medium is does the healing and you're a channel for that. You kind of stepping more out of the way. It's not your ego, it's the divine working through you. And so, yeah, this path of being a healer, a teacher, coach, ceremonialist, I would hope is a path of humility, because otherwise there's some dangers there. Everyone is equal on this path, and I recognize, like, as a teacher, I recognize the teacher in every one of my students. And if it's not for the students that show up, I don't get to teach. And so I am always very honoring of those students, my students that show up, or my programs, or my ceremonies, because I get to learn from them just as much as they get to learn from me, and we're all equal. And I'll talk a little bit more about it here. And what I love about ceremony and this idea of like returning to the indigenous ways and returning to the feminine way of the circle versus the pyramid or the triangle is that there's no hierarchy in the circle. There's no start and no finish. It's all one, right? So in circles, in ceremonies, like, everyone is an equal participant. Everyone is a co-creator. And I personally love to create spaces where I give opportunities for the voices of the unheard to be heard. So that could be the voice of the Mother Earth, the plants, but also creating spaces where perhaps those shy voices have an opportunity to speak as well. And I think that's very empowering in a way. Like, it comes back to that, creating the space for people to empower themselves. And of course, if someone wants to learn, there's the teaching, and that's another type of form of container as well. Shadow side of the healer, of the spiritual ego. It's like, we've all heard of that person that like all of a sudden learns some spiritual jargon, and it's all of a sudden goes off and thinks they're healed. Or I like to think that the spiritual path has like a honeymoon phase. It's like, usually when we come to the spiritual path, we like instantly like, oh my God, we're in love. It's amazing. Oh, everybody needs to do this. And we start to preach and tell everyone how they need to do the thing that we did, right? It's the honeymoon phase. Well, what comes after the honeymoon phase is reality, because usually after the honeymoon phase, we start to hit the dark night of the soul. We start to get the initiations. Our reality starts to crumble before our eyes. And soon after, we're in the midst of the dark night of the soul, where we don't know who we are anymore, how we got here, if we're doing the work, right? I mean, we could stay in that honeymoon phase, but that could also be just someone that's delusional, because life is always going to have its spirals. It's going to have its light and its shadow moments. So, yeah. uh, so yeah, being always mindful of our own spiritual ego, right? In the sense of like, this comes to being in integrity. Do our actions align with our thoughts and our beliefs? That's being in integrity. Integrity is also when we hear our mind or our ego questioning, hey, are we ready yet? Are we supposed to do this? Is it appropriate for us to do this? I think it's really healthy that people have these questions. I think it shows me that that person is much more humble than the person that's not asking themselves that question at all. So I always tell the people, my students, it's like, no, like, the sign that you're even asking me, or you're having this conversation with yourself, is already a sign that you're on the right path, because you aren't prepared yet. Or maybe it is imposter syndrome too. We want to look at the ego when it wants to tell us that we're not good enough, but it's important to look at that and question that. And it's sometimes helpful to find mentors or people on the path to support us and walk us through that part of the journey. Because sometimes it is that we just need more experience and learning, more practice, or, could be that we have imposter syndrome as well, and we can dig deep into our own self-worthiness issues, etc. But the fact that you're even doing that work and question yourself is, I think, a greater expression of this journey than someone that's not asking themselves the question at all. Okay, and some other last little bits that we time to go over is like some of the shadow sides of the healer, spiritual ego, is giving unsolicited advice like going back to that honeymoon phase. It's like, oh, you learned all the things and now you want to teach and preach and like no one even asked you. And the reason why I share this is because I've done this work. I've learned the hard way. When I was in my 20s and I started learning about yoga and Ayurveda, being vegetarian. Oh, my poor mother, you better believe she heard all the things when I went back home. I'm like, you need to stop eating this. You need to do that. Like for a couple of years there, she got it pretty bad. And it wasn't until like years into my journey and like also just maturing and growing up as an adult, hitting my 30s, I was like, oh, sorry, mom. Like, if you want my help, you want my advice, like, let me prepare you a nice meal. And if it's yummy, I'll tell you the ingredients and guide you if you ask for it. And so, um, this is one of the reasons why I love being in this role of like, say, a healer or coach or mentor is that people come to me and ask me what they need. And so it opens up the space for me to give that help and that advice. And I rarely am giving people advice or telling them like, oh, I see this is like wrong with your chakra or like your ancestor just told me this. Like, I personally don't agree with that method. I actually really get offended when people tell me things about my energy that I didn't ask them to, because I really people believe in people's sovereignty. And only when they ask do I feel like it's appropriate for me to give that kind of advice. So that's my personal code of ethics, and you can come to that on your own. Um, some Another spiritual ego or shadow side of the healer is taking on others' responsibilities or feeling responsible for other people's behavior and taking it as your own. So like thinking like, oh, it's my responsibility to fix this person, or it's my responsibility to change my friend because they're doing something wrong, or my community. Like when we start to take on that too much in that way, it's probably connected to our ego and maybe feeling righteous or thinking that we somehow know something better than the other. I think there are moments where we are invited to step into sacred activism and we need to speak up. Yes, 100%. I do believe that. And an activist is not the same thing as a healer. An activist will probably be biased, and that's what they're there for, is to activate, right? So here I'm talking about being a healer. So when we're a healer, we're holding space for unconditional love, compassion. We're not when we're separating that part of ourselves that might be an activist, right? And then there might be a time for us to be an activist and to be an advocate for something and stand strong in our beliefs, but they might be biased, and that's okay. There's no judgment there. That's what the role that you're fitting into. And then, yeah, lastly, as a healer, releasing the healer teacher righteousness better than, more spiritually advanced than ego. And this is something that we just want to work on catching ourselves. If we ever find ourselves in, we might see it in others. And it's not, it could be a natural byproduct of like really advancing in whatever you're doing. Like you might actually feel like, well, I do know more, but it doesn't mean you're more spiritually advanced. Everyone is exactly where they need to be. Everyone has their path and is given the lessons that they need to. It's not necessarily our place to interfere, and knowing that doesn't make us better than that. We know this is why I believe that Christ consciousness and why this code is always for me the biggest and greatest teacher, and always bring me back to clarity and purity in my intentions as a healer space holder. And so yeah, that's it for today.